Well, hello. I am now going to teach you all about how to mark out for timber-based materials. Now, this will go into 2.8 specialist techniques and processes. Yes, and focusing on timbers. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. When you are marking out stuff with timbers, you need the following tools. Steel ruler. Not a plastic ruler, and I'll tell you why. Steel rulers start at 0. You can see there, right on the end there, they start at 0. And we work in millimeters, also known as metric, not inches. Millimeters is the units that we work in. Something else you might use for measuring larger pieces with is a tape measure. Equally, these can do imperial and metric, but we use metric. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, I've got a lovely piece of pine here. Pine is a softwood, and yeah, it's really easy to work with and it's great for prototyping with. So we need to make this part here. We have here an engineering drawing. This is called an exploded view with a bill of materials here, which tells us which part is which on here, and then we can find it. So this one, I've had to scribble out the number 1. This one is part 2 on here. So we can find part number 2, there we are. And then when we go into the drawing pack here, this is what we call the general assembly, which shows the whole thing together. We can find, here we are, part 2, where I've relabeled it. So we can check the drawing. It says scale 1 to 2. Now that means it's half size that we're looking at here. So we need to bear in mind that this is not a life-size drawing. If I see this dimension here says 200 millimeters, if I measure that with my steel rule, because of the printing scale, it says 9.5 cm, so 995 millimeters. So that's because the printer also ends up messing up the printing scale as well, which is kind of annoying. So yeah, that's why we don't trust the drawings in terms of holding things up, and we try not to measure off here. So we just trust the dimensions. Yes, and it says on here, the stock form, so this is made from 21mm planed all round, PIR stock, and somewhere it should say all dimensions are in millimeters. So let's go ahead and get started. What we need to do first of all is mark off the whole length that we're cutting. So you can see here it says 200 millimeters. I've got this length of timber here, so what I need to do first of all is mark off 200mm on here. To do that, I'm going to get my steel ruler and let's turn it over so we have a cleaner edge. Now this is a bit messed up because we've got some holes in here, but never mind. I want to use I want to use just scrap, so I'm not wasting material. Okay, we've not got a nice square end here, so what I probably need to do first is just to straighten up the end. So to do that, I can use a saw, but yeah, let's see if the other end's clean. That's looking better. Okay. Very professional videos you get with me. Okay, here we go. So there's 20 centimeters, so 200 millimeters, we just add a 0. I'm gonna put a little line there. Now then, when we're marking out, we don't just draw with a ruler because we don't know if the ruler is straight. So we get this little thing here called a tri-square. Tri-square is engineered to be exactly 90 degrees. So I can lie down the tool onto here and I can slide the stock up and down the piece of material. I can line it up so the notch is just there, and then I can put my line across there. And yeah, and we're good to go. Other things that we can use are this thing here called a mitre square. So this one is quite good if you're wanting to do something like measuring 45 degrees, for example. So if we wanted to do a 45-degree angle line instead, I can line this up on the table, then I can lock it to 45, and then I can hold it like that and then do the same thing and draw across like that. Or I'll do it that way so you guys can see more easily, so I can then draw across like that. So a mitre square is great for getting a range of different angles. And yeah, if you use it with a protractor, you can basically get any angle that you need to cut. But we're just gonna cut a nice straightforward perpendicular line. Going back to the tape measure, if I wanted to measure the whole length of the stock, we'd just get, the hook starts at 0, we'd get that on one end, and then we'd measure, see how much we need if we're cutting longer sections. So if they wanted to cut, say 60 millimeters, I can find the 60 there, and then I can put the line there and mark it. So we only use this for things that are basically larger than the 30 cm on a ruler. Okay, that is how we mark out materials.